you have spent years working on your mind. Maybe therapy, maybe meditation, maybe journaling, reading, practice, discipline, all of it aimed at the same goal: getting the mind right, quieting it, healing it, making it work better. And Ramana Maharshi would look at all of that and say, "You are trying to fix something that does not exist. Not a damaged mind, not an overactive mind, no mind at all." He said this directly, in his own words, from his primary text, "Who Am I?" written when he was just 22 years old. He said, "Apart from thoughts, there is no such thing as the mind. If this is true, and I am going to show you why it is, then everything changes." In episode 1, we began with the question, "Who am I?" We found that most of what we think we are, the body, the personality, the emotions, comes and goes. Something remains that witnesses all of it. Ramana called that the self. Today, we go one layer deeper. Because before we can understand the self, we have to dismantle the thing we are most sure of, the thing we carry everywhere, talk to constantly, argue with, believe in, fight with every single day: the mind. Ramana Maharshi taught something about the mind that I want you to hold carefully, not to believe or disbelieve, but to actually examine. He said, "What is called the mind is a wondrous power residing in the self. It causes all thoughts to arise. Apart from thoughts, there is no such thing as mind. Therefore, thought is the nature of the mind." Read that again slowly. Apart from thoughts, there is no such thing as a mind. Not an empty mind, not a quiet mind, no mind. Most of us picture the mind as a container. Thoughts are things inside the container, like water in a cup. The cup is the mind, the water is the thoughts. Ramana destroys this picture completely. He says the cup does not exist without the water. The mind is not a container that holds thoughts. The mind is nothing other than the collection of thoughts themselves. Take away all the thoughts, not temporarily in meditation, but in principle, and you have not found a quiet mind. You have found that mind was never there. This is difficult to hear, because the mind is the only tool we have ever used to understand anything. We are now being asked to use the mind to examine whether the mind exists. It feels like trying to bite your own teeth. But Ramana points us to evidence we already have evidence from our own experience every single night. Deep sleep. In deep sleep, thoughts stop. Not slowed down, not quieted, stopped completely. And in that state, there is no mind. There is no world. There is no sense of being a person, a body, someone with problems and plans and history. And you are perfectly fine. You wake up rested. You wake up refreshed. You may even say, "I slept beautifully." Who experienced that beauty? Not the mind. The mind was gone. Something was there. Something that did not require thought in order to exist. Something that was present even in the complete absence of mind. That something is the self, and it is what you are. Now Ramana takes this one step further, and this is where it gets extraordinary. He says, apart from thoughts, there is no independent entity called the world. Not just the mind, the world. Think about this carefully. He is not saying the world disappears when you stop thinking. He is saying something more precise. The world as you experience it, as a collection of objects, people, events, places, that world is constructed by thought. Without thought, the raw data is there, but the world as you know it, as you live in it, as it causes you joy and suffering, that is a mental construction. He used a beautiful analogy. He said, just as the spider emits the thread of the web from within itself and then draws it back into itself, likewise the mind projects the world out of itself and again withdraws it into itself. You are not in the world. The world is in you. Every morning, you wake up and almost instantly a world appears. Your room comes into focus, your name comes back, your to-do list arrives, your worries return. This vast, solid, complex, urgent world, all of it assembles in the first few seconds of waking. Where was it during your sleep? It was not waiting somewhere for you to return to it. It was dissolved. And when consciousness reemerged and thought reemerged, the world appeared again. Ramana says, when the mind comes out of the self, the world appears. When the self alone shines, the world does not appear. Now, you may be thinking, but I can verify the world is real. I can touch this table. I can look out the window and see trees that are not my mind's invention. Other people confirm the same world I see. This is a good objection, and Ramana's answer is precise. He is not saying the underlying reality is nothing. He is not a nihilist. He is not saying nothing exists. He is saying that your interpretation of that reality objects with names, a story unfolding in time, a you inside a body navigating it all that is the construction. That is the mind's projection. The underlying reality is consciousness itself, pure, undivided, aware. The world is like a movie on a screen. The movie is not unreal, it is actually appearing. The images are vivid and moving and emotionally powerful. But the movie is not what it appears to be. Beneath every frame, it is only light on a screen. Take away the screen, and the movie has nowhere to appear. The screen is the self. The movie is the world. And you have been spending your entire life chasing and fighting and loving and fearing characters in a movie, forgetting that you are the screen on which the whole thing appears. So what does this mean practically? If the mind is nothing but thoughts, and thoughts arise in consciousness and subside back into consciousness, then you are not the mind. You are what the mind arises in. Ramana gives a precise practice for this. When a thought arises, any thought, do not follow it. Do not push it away. Do not engage with its content. Instead, ask one question. To whom has this thought arisen? The answer is always, to me. Then, who is this me? Now you are turning the attention from the content of the thought back to the one in whom the thought appeared. The mind, which was moving outward, is now being pointed back at its source. And at the source, says Ramana, the mind dissolves, because at the source, there are no objects for the mind to latch onto. At the source, there is only the self, and the self is not a thought. It cannot be an object of the mind. It is the ground in which the mind appears and disappears. He said, the mind that turns inward becomes the self. The mind that turns outward becomes the ego and all the world. The same energy, one movement inward, one movement outward, liberation or bondage. The difference is only the direction of attention. Here is what this means for your suffering. Every problem you have ever had, every anxiety, every fear, every broken relationship, every wound you carry exists in the mind. It is made of thought. It requires thought to sustain it. The moment thought stops, the problem stops. This is not bypassing. This is not telling you that your pain is not real. The pain is real within the dream. But Ramana is pointing you to the dreamer. Wake up the dreamer, and the pain that belongs to the dream loses its absolute grip on you. You have been trying to solve your problems at the level of the mind, thinking better thoughts, reframing, understanding. All of that has limited value, because the mind cannot solve a problem that the mind is creating. The only real solution is to find what is prior to the mind, to find the awareness in which the mind appears and disappears, to rest there not as a technique, but as recognition. You are not the mind. You are what the mind rises in. In the next video, Ramana answers the one question that no therapist, no doctor, and no teacher can answer for you. Because only you have the access. It is about the source of all human suffering. Every kind of suffering. And his answer, when it lands, changes how you see everything. If this series found you, it was not an accident. Here is something to sit with this week. If your mind does not truly exist apart from thoughts, what have you been fighting all these years? What would happen if you stopped fighting it and simply asked, who is aware of this mind right now? Write what comes in the comments. Ready for episode 3? Just say next.